There you go, player ratings then. Arsenal 0, Everton 1 at the Emirates. What a result that is. Was it the greatest performance? No. Was it the greatest game of football? No, but who really cares? We've just beaten Arsenal for the first time in 25 years at their ground. First league double over Arsenal in over 30 years. Another 2 records smashed and broken by Carlo Ancelotti's Everton this season. And as well, a fantastic win in the context of this Premier League season. Puts us just 3 points behind Chelsea, West Ham and Liverpool in that vital race for Europe. And look, like I said, it wasn't the greatest performance. It wasn't the best game of football to watch at times, but ultimately at this point in the season, when players are tired and there's a lot of games and there's a lot happening at the moment, all that matters is that you get the win. All that matters is that you get over the line. So these are the player ratings. Of course, we'll get straight into it. Jordan Pickford, I've given him a 9. He's my man of the match today. Now, you might disagree. You might say he didn't have an awful lot to do. You might say he only had a couple of big saves to make, but ultimately that's why he's getting my man of the match, because Jordan Pickford, in the same ways that he did against Southampton, in the same way that he did against West Brom a few weeks back, Jordan Pickford's won us that game today. Okay, obviously the Richarlison effort and Bird Leno throwing it into the back of his net has won us the game, but Jordan Pickford has come out with a massive save at the end of the game there. I don't know how Martinelli manages to get his boot on it, to be fair, but somehow he does get his boot on it, and Jordan gets down brilliantly, dead quick, gets his hand on it and saves it, and then a couple of minutes later, another shot is fired straight back at him, and he tips that one over the bar, albeit that one was called for a foul anyway, so it wouldn't have counted, but it's another absolutely exceptional save, and that's the moments that you need from Jordan Pickford. They're the big moments. They're game winners. That's as important as a goal at the other end. That from Jordan Pickford today, it really is. And obviously, you know, Jordan, I think, has been in very good form since that Merseyside derby win at Anfield, and he's just come back from an injury that kept him out for quite a few weeks, to be honest. And obviously he had the game against Tottenham Hotspur last week. I don't particularly think he'd done anything wrong in that game. Don't think he was at fault with either of the goals, and he's come into this one, and okay, he hasn't had an awful lot to do. It's not like he's made 7, 8, 9 unbelievable saves, because he didn't have 7, 8, 9 unbelievable saves to make. He made one from Saka in the first half, I believe, but it's that one from Martinelli at the end of the game that's won us that game of football at the end of the day, and you simply have to stand up and applaud Jordan Pickford for that, because I understand he's not everybody's favourite. I understand there's a big debate around him, but that's a massive save. So Jordan's getting a 9. Luca Dean's getting a 7 then. Again, quite an up and down game from Luca Dean. I mentioned it in the instant match reaction that I feel like the expectation for Luca Dean now is sort of maybe being a little bit of a hindrance on his performances. He did get forward on a couple of occasions, put a couple of really good menacing balls into the box. He did also put a couple of shocking balls into the box as well. Defensively, he didn't do much wrong whatsoever, but the expectation for Luca Dean is, 5, 6, 7 goals in a season and 10, 15 assists in a season. He just hasn't been quite hitting those numbers. Assist-wise he has, but he hasn't been hitting those numbers in terms of goals. And look, ultimately, again, I think it was a decent performance by Luca Dean. Don't think he was bad. Don't think he was absolutely unbelievable. I just think it was a decent performance, so he's getting a 7. Mason Holgate, I've actually given Mason an 8.5. I thought he was really solid, to be honest with you. I thought he looked really comfortable at centre-half. There was a couple of times, certainly in that first half, it was difficult at times in that first half because there wasn't a lot happening whatsoever. Neither team really took control of the game. Neither team really were getting at each other. It was almost, well, it was a game of two teams that looked absolutely drained and didn't really have an awful lot of quality in them whatsoever, but Mason really did shine, and to be fair to Mason Holgate, he's come under a lot of stick in recent weeks, and rightly so. I've given him a lot of stick for his recent performances, but he was slotted into centre half next to Ben Goffrey this evening, and I thought he looked comfortable. I thought he looked confident. He wanted the ball. He was bringing the ball out. There was a couple of times when there was a few misplaced passes from midfield, and Mason got on the end of them and made sure that nothing come of them. He made a couple of decent blocks as well to deny Arsenal. So I thought Mason was quite solid tonight, and it was a much better performance than what he's put in the last couple of games. So he's getting an 8.5. Ben Goffrey is getting an 8. Again, Mr. Consistent, isn't he, really? I can't remember the last time Ben Goffrey got less than an 8, to be honest, in one of these player ratings videos. He's just absolutely exceptional every time he stands on that pitch. Another top performance by him today. He just, for a lad of 22 years of age who's only playing his second Premier League season now. First one was with Norwich last year, such a difficult season for him as well. He must have played over 20 games for Everton this season, and he hasn't put in one bad performance. Okay, there's been moments where you think, oh, he struggled a bit there, but he hasn't put in one performance where we sit here and go, oh, he was dreadful today, Ben Goffrey. More often than not, we're talking about how unbelievable he was. And the other times we're saying, yeah, he had a decent game today. And like I said, Ben Goffrey's a player that even when the rest of the defence isn't playing very well, he always has a decent game, and he was decent again today. Didn't really put a foot wrong. Made a couple of big interceptions, big challenges, got his foot on the couple of crosses that were thrown, and that's what Arsenal were sort of aiming at doing today, I feel, was throw those crosses in and try and catch us off guard, and there was a couple of times when there was a bit of scary moments in the box, but more often than not, Ben Goffrey took the game by the scruff of the neck, consoled it, and dealt with the situation. So he is getting an 8. Seamus Coleman, very similar to Luca Dean, I've given him a 7 today. Again, I thought he had a decent game, to be honest with you. It wasn't as impactful as some of his previous performances, certainly not the one against Tottenham, but I still think he had a decent game. There was a couple of times when Arsenal were really trying to pile the pressure on and trying to get forward and trying to, create an opportunity for a goal, and Seamus just took the sting out of it a little bit, even if it was just taking the ball into the corner and holding it up for a few seconds, or getting it back up the pitch and trying to move us out a little bit. I just thought he took the sting out of it a couple of times today. Again, didn't have a massive amount to do defensively, to be honest, but ultimately still still done exactly what he needed to do. So he is getting a 7. Into the midfield then, Andre Gomez, I've given him a 5.5. Now, some people might think I'm being a little bit harsh on this one. I've said this often on the channel, and I'll say it again. I think Andre Gomez is a decent footballer. I do. I think he can play football. I think he looks good with the ball at his feet. I think he can control the ball. I think he can pass a ball. Sometimes he's definitely passing, but I think he can pass a ball. But the reality of the situation is with Andre Gomez is he doesn't offer us anything. I think he's too slow at times, and I just think off the ball he's just ineffective. And on the ball, whilst he's a decent footballer, more often than not his passes aren't affecting the game whatsoever. So you sort of look at him and you think, what's Andre Gomez's role in all of this? Is he just another midfielder in the cycle to just go along and play the connection passes? I've given him a 5.5. I thought he was all right, to be honest. I thought he was all right. There was a couple of times when he lost the ball. There was a couple of passes that he just completely misplayed and give it back to Arsenal, and Arsenal come back on the counter attack. But maybe I'm being a little bit harsh. Maybe I'm being a little bit cutthroat on Andre Gomez, but I just don't think he had a great game whatsoever today. I really, really don't. I thought he was below average, to be honest with you. And don't get me wrong, it wasn't the greatest performance. Certainly not the midfield. I think everybody was average at best today, but I just think Andre Gomez was a little bit below average, so he's getting a 5.5. Gylfi Sigurdsson, I've given him a 6.5. Obviously he had that free kick in the first half, rattled the bar, which was absolutely excellent, and then for the rest of the game he struggled really. I think him and James Rodriguez both sort of struggled to get in those creative areas. Struggled to sort of get his foot on the ball and get us forward and create opportunities. He did play a couple of really nice passes. One I think he played into Luca Dean on the wing, and Luca Dean just I think he tried to take his defender on and ended up going out for a goal kick. But ultimately, other than striking the bar in the first half, he didn't have a very impactful game. Gylfi Sigurdsson did. I don't think he struggled to create. He had one effort which was almost a carbon copy of his goal against Tottenham, where a ball comes flying in and he gets on the end of it. It got deflected for a corner. But to be fair, if it had went in, it had been called offside, because I think Richarlison was offside and he crossed it into him. So yeah, again, he had an alright game. He wasn't great, but it wasn't as he wasn't as involved as maybe you would have liked him to be. On to James Rodriguez then. I've given him a 7. I think the only reason he gets slightly better than Gylfi Sigurdsson, you might be looking at this thinking, how does Gomez get a 5.5, Sigurdsson gets a 6.5, and James gets a 7? You could argue they were all the same. The reason James gets a 7 is because I think his passing is a lot better than Andre Gomez's, and I think it's better than Gylfi Sigurdsson's as well. James Rodriguez didn't do an awful lot today. In terms of creative wise, he didn't do an awful lot. I think he was maybe playing his football in the wrong areas. He seemed to fall into this habit of trying to pick the ball up from the sort of back line or the midfielders and bring it forward, rather than just staying where he should be and letting Gylfi Sigurdsson do that. But he did play 2, 3, 4 absolutely brilliant passes, and he put one on Sigurdsson's toes. I think he put one on Richarlison's toes as well, and he ultimately put these players in the situation to go out and create opportunities for themselves. So yeah, again, I thought it wasn't as great as the games whatsoever by James Rodriguez's standards. Certainly wasn't as great as the games creative wise, but some of his passing was on point today. On to Alan then. I've given him an 8. I thought Alan out of the midfield was the best, to be honest with you. I think the other 3 you could maybe say were all average. You could probably give them the same score, but I think Alan was the best out of the 3 of them. I've given him an 8, certainly in that second half. Okay, he struggled in the opening 15-20 minutes of the first half, as did Gylfi Sigurdsson and Gomez and James, but in the second half he was playing some really nice balls. He was breaking the play up well, he was breaking it up on the edge of our box as well, and stopping Arsenal from getting forward and creating chances. And yeah, like I said, he played a couple of really, really good passes, a couple of really good over-the-top passes as well. One for the goal, plays a brilliant ball over to Richarlison. He takes it on, sends Granit Xhaka into the stands, and then obviously, Bird Leno decides to throw it into the back of his net. But I just thought Alan, like I said, massively improved, certainly in that second half, and I thought he was our best midfielder, to be honest with you. On to the strikers then. Dominic Calvert-Lewin, I've given him a 6.5 as well. Difficult evening for Dom tonight, quite a difficult evening for Dom. I think he'd probably agree. A lot of running around, a lot of work, a lot of battling, a lot of fighting, a lot of picking the ball up. He sort of fell into his old habits of dropping down into the centre of the defence and trying to pick the ball up from there instead of actually just waiting in his area and trying to pounce on opportunities. But he didn't get many opportunities today. It was a classic example. There's many different types of Dominic Calvert-Lewin performance we can talk about this season, and there's been a couple in recent weeks, certainly prior to his injury, where he's had a lot of opportunities and he's missed them and he's squandered them. Today was another one of those examples where, the majority of Dominic Calvert-Lewin's game was his work rate and his battling and his winning the ball back and trying to create for other people. He didn't really get anything created for him today. So his work rate was there, he battled, he fought, but in terms of end product, there wasn't much there. So he's getting a 6.5. And Richie's getting it's difficult. You know what? I'm going to give Richie a 7.5. I'll give Dom a 7 for his work rate, and I'll give Richie a 7.5. Again, obviously key part to playing the goal. I thought he constantly caused Arsenal issues, to be honest with you, getting forward, taking players on, trying to create chances. He had one shot in the first half where he dropped onto his left dropped his left shoulder onto his left foot and he fired it, and it was unfortunate. Leno gets down and makes a good save, and then obviously he forces the goal. Look, again, I'm not going to sit here and say, it's an unbelievable finish, it's brilliant. It doesn't. The most impressive thing about the goal is the touch from Alan's ball, which is a great touch, and then completely and utterly just selling Xhaka. He literally sent Xhaka, I think it was Xhaka anyway, literally sent Xhaka into the, outside the stadium to protest with the fans. He literally just ended this game. The finish, let's be honest, was a cross across the box that Leno lashed into his own net. For some mad reason, I don't know why, I still don't know why, but it's the ability to take Xhaka on like he did and get himself into that area, which I was really, really impressed with. He did give the penalty away, which was disappointing. I'm going to be quite frankly honest, to be honest with you. I don't think it's a penalty. Look, in any situation in this day and age in football, if you make even the slightest bit of contact on a player, they go down, they start crying, and the penalty's given. And that's what Dani Ceballos did, and that's what Dani Ceballos does, to be fair. I've seen it a couple of times when we played Arsenal. We played him earlier on in the season, and I think he went down Yeti Mina's leg and then started crying himself. But yeah, like I said, he throws himself on the floor. It's soft. There's probably a tiny bit of contact, probably grazed his shin pad. But then luckily enough, VAR rules it offside, so the penalty wasn't given anyway. But I think Richarlison could have been a little bit, maybe a little bit, I don't know what the word is, less clumsy in that situation. I think he just sticks a foot out there, and although there's not much contact, I think he sticks a foot out, and you sort of should think, well, the player's going to go down in any situation there. Onto the substitutes bench anyway. Tom Davies, I've given him a 7. Come on, broke the play up a little bit, couple of nice passes, just done what we needed them to do. Really wasn't massively involved in the game, but just done what we needed them to do. Again, like I said, he wasn't massively involved. Yeti Mina, I've given him a 7.5. you know, exactly who we needed at that point in the game. To be fair, exactly what we needed at that point in the game. We needed Yeti Mina to come on, just sit in that defence and just get anything that comes there and just head it out. And he did on a couple of occasions. There was, I think, a cross that come in and he just dealt with it straight away. And look, that's what you get from Yeti Mina. You get that aerial presence. You get that aerial quality where you know if there's any ball that's coming into the box, Yeti Mina's getting his head on the end of it and he's dealing with it. And he did that today. So he's getting a 7.5. And then Fabian Delph, I'll give him a 6. Yeah, come onto the pitch with the wrong socks on for the start, which was, you know, mad. How, I don't know. How when everybody's wearing blue socks, blue shorts and blue top, Fabian Delph comes on the pitch with white socks on, I still don't know. In terms of his footballing ability, look, he's been out for a long time, so I'll give him the benefit of the doubt, but there was a couple of times when the ball come to him and he looked like he'd won a raffle, to be honest with you. But yeah, good to see him back from injury. It's never nice to see players injured, so good to see him make his return from injury. And he didn't do anything massively wrong, did he? Didn't cause us any issues. So there you go. They are the player ratings. A massive win for Everton Football Club. Not the best performance, but a massive win in the context of this season, in this fight for Europe. First win at Arsenal in 25 years. First league double over Arsenal in about 30 years as well. So there's 2 records smashed out the window. They can go on the shelf with the Derby win. They can go on the shelf with the Tottenham Hotspur away win as well. And yeah, hopefully that can give us a little bit of momentum now to push forward in the remaining few games of the season to actually get a decent run of form going and hopefully finish in those European places. But there you go. If you've enjoyed this one, please do hit that like button. It only takes a second if you're new. Don't forget to subscribe as well. If you haven't checked out the Football News 365 app, please do so in the description. Keeps you up to date with all your latest Everton news and scores. Don't forget to check out the instant match reaction if you haven't already as well. Big win. Get in. Up the toffees. Cheers for watching and we'll see you soon.